So tell me, Ben, what does culture mean to you?
To me, culture is all about relationships. It's the relationships between the team, the people in the organisation. It's how they feel about each other. It's what they believe about the people they're working day in, day out with. It's the building blocks. It's the building blocks of any organisation. It's ultimately what gets people out of bed in the morning and makes it easy to come into work rather than, I've got to drag myself into work today. It's a thing that inspires people to come and work hard.
So why do you think culture is so important?
I think it's important in business because we're in a different world than we were 10 or 20 years ago. 10 or 20 years ago, the things that were motivating was title, financial remuneration, was the name of the company they worked for. And I think that's changed over time. It's become harder to pay people as much as we used to. So we have to look at ways to motivate people in different ways. And I think culture is one of those threads that is going to be super important in terms of attracting talent, motivating talent, keeping talent going forward. It's the thing that people are looking for. So much now I sit in interviews and I'm talking to people, and the thing that they're asking me is not what are my benefits, but what's the culture here? And so being able to articulate that, knowing when it gets out of kilter, and cherishing it, I think are really, really important things that all companies need to consider.
Have you picked up any trends that you think are impacting on company culture?
I think the obvious one, which is interesting, is flexibility. People will want, as they do now, and as they're starting to request more and more, they want more flexibility. We have to look at how we form relationships in a different way. If you've got people that are doing a stint working abroad or working remotely a couple of days a week, there's less face time. And we know that it's much easier to form a relationship with someone when you're sitting face to face with them. Mm-hmm. It's much harder to do that over WhatsApp or Slack or email or phone. So we have to look for clever ways to use those channels and to use the time that we do have together face to face to work on culture. That's definitely one of the challenges that I see in the future is how do we build culture when teams are more remote. I think the other area is the amount of times that people change and move jobs and career. So I think when you look at my generation, people are making movement the entire time. We're moving from one career to another career, from one company to another company. Again, it's harder to develop those relationships if you're only spending a year to a year and a half in a place. So I think that's going to play into it as well.
So why do you think companies get it wrong?
So they don't truly understand what it is. They don't understand that actually, building a culture is about building relationships. You have to understand how human beings build and create relationships to get a grasp on a culture. That's the first thing. The second thing is they don't cherish it. They don't delegate it. Culture sits with no man. It sits with no woman. It has to be something that the entire team own and feel like it is theirs to own and feel like it is theirs to build and adapt and grow. It's got to be something that's delegated and owned by the team. If the team don't own it won't feel real, and you just won't have those relationships there.
So can you articulate the CharlieHR culture for me?
We, like most businesses, have values and we have behaviours that we put on a wall, we put on a deck, and we walk the team through and we review people against, and we have all that. But I don't really think that those elements are really what defines a culture. For me, what defines our culture is trust. Is trust between the people in the room. We're a small team, we're 17 people, we're not a big organisation. But it's so easy for me to sit at my desk and look around the room and know that I trust all of the people in that room. And that, for me, is always an amazing feeling. And I don't think it just stops with me. I think you'd asked most people in the room and I think they would say the same thing. So we have an incredibly trusting culture. And I think that's given us the ability to move fast, to work hard, to be honest, to be transparent, to tell the team when we've got it wrong and we've made the wrong decision, which we do constantly. That's the thing I'm most grateful for about our culture, is the trust that we have between the team.
Is there any direction that you want to take the panel in for the conference?
So I think what's really interesting about the panel is we've got a mixture of businesses. So the first thing I really want to dive into is understanding how each of those organisations are thinking about culture, how they're guiding it, how they're growing it, how they're delegating it, where they think their cultures are now and where they're going. And then the second area is, what do they think the risks are to their culture? If the audience can come away with real tangible ideas and thoughts that they can take back to their businesses and experiment with and roll out, then to me that's what success looks like.